I've had people ask me, Joe, when should I sell my house? So you know what? That's what I'm talking about today. Stick around. Hi, welcome back. My name's Joe Brown, and I'm a realtor with Century 21 List with Beggins, located in South Tampa. Thank you so much for being here with me today. So I have had people say, Joe, when should I sell my house? And the answer is really very easy. It's two options, right? When you want to or when you need to, right? But I'm going to talk about some of that a little bit more. So let's talk about some times that people would want to sell their house. They want to sell their house. So number one is when you want to downsize. In fact, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who had 4 kids, and they're grown and they're out of the house, except one, and she was living upstairs, and she got tired of going up and down the stairs, so she moved into a room on the first floor. The whole top floor, nobody was there. There were no other kids. And he said, you know what? We don't need all this space. So they sold their house and bought a smaller 1-story house. That's a want. Maybe if you downsize. Now, sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes you have kids moving back in with you and you need more space. So you want to upsize just so there's more room. Another reason people will want to sell their houses, especially with the past few years where home prices have accelerated, 50%, people say, well, let me tap that equity. And so they want to sell their house and they're able to move to another area, maybe less expensive, so they can take that equity and have for retirement or maybe other investment purposes. Now, there is a way you can tap the equity without moving. That's called a HELOC, H-E-L-O-C, which is a home equity line of credit. You can tap the equity for the home. But there are people that say, let me sell the house, I can move, and I can use that money for other investments or for living. I have my notes, but something just came to mind that remember capital gains. So if you have a house and you sell it, for the first $250,000 for a single or $500,000 for a couple, you don't pay capital gains. So if you own a home, you may want to keep track of that, because if you see the home value has gone up, let's say $490,000, and you're a married couple, it may be smart to sell the house and buy a new house, because then you don't have capital gains if the value keeps going up. So that's just a thought. If you want more information about that, contact me at my website. I'll talk about that later. Another reason people want to move is maybe like where they're living. They're tired of the commute. They're tired of the neighborhood. Maybe they're just tired of the house. And they say, okay, I just need a new place. Now, studies from the National Association of Realtors show that people move on average about every 10 years. Now, it's not everybody, but that's the average. And it's kind of like, I'm tired. I don't like this place anymore. I'm tired of the house. Let's move. So that could be a reason people want to move. And then another reason people want to move is not to get away from something, but to get towards something. And so they want to move closer to friends or family. I had some very good friends of mine who went to college at Florida State, and they wanted to move from the Tampa, St. Pete area and moved back to the college town. They had several friends up there. So that's a desire to get closer to something you want, closer to friends and family. But now let's shift and talk about why people would need to move. And I had a conversation today with a friend of mine, John, who describes it as the 4 Ds, and it makes perfect sense. You have death, divorce, displacement, or debt. Now, I don't want to be morose about this, right? Talking about death, but that is a reason people have to sell their home. And it could be a combination, right? Maybe a single person is living in the home and that person dies. Well, yes, the house needs to be sold. Or there's a married couple and the spouse dies and that person just needs a new space, right? There are too many memories in the house. So death causes a need to sell the house. The second is divorce. We see this quite a bit. Married couples apply for a loan, get a house, but then the couple split, and neither spouse are able to afford the mortgage payments on their own. So there's a need to sell the house. A third reason is displacement. If you have a job and the job transfers you to another location, you need to sell the house. And then the fourth is debt, D-E-B-T, debt. Maybe things have changed. If you took a variable rate loan and now mortgage rates have gone up, interest rates have gone up, maybe you can't afford payments anymore. Or especially in this economy, with the layoffs, people experiencing layoffs or furloughs, they can no longer afford the mortgage payments. So there's a need to sell the house because they don't want to go into foreclosure or bankruptcy. And while I'm talking about that, let me tell you, myself, through my brokerage, offers service for families and people facing foreclosure situations, Liz Pendants. So listen, if you're in that situation, if you know somebody who is, please reach out to me. I can give you a contact number for a free resource for you, okay? But because if we can help you to avoid that foreclosure, that would be great. But let's talk about this, right? So you're ready, whether you have a want or you have a need and you want to sell your house. Well, what are some things you need? And you know you're going to think I'm biased when I say number one need is you need a real estate agent. And you may say, oh, Joe, I don't need a real estate agent. I can do it on my own. I can do for sale by owner. Yeah, you could, but let's talk about that. So again, according to the National Association of Realtors, last year, 86% of home sellers used an agent. 13% did for sale by owner. 1% did iBuyers. Well, why use an agent? So number one is what we have experience. You may sell a house, let's say every 10 years, right? We sell multiple houses every year. We know the process. We know the contract. We know the contacts to use. We know some of the hiccups. And my brokerage has training every morning. And we go over the contract and some of the issues that other agents are having. So we have that cooperative spirit. We have that combined knowledge that we're sharing. And we share it to benefit our clients. So that's number one. You want to use an agent just because of our experience to make this transaction as smooth as possible. Second is marketing. So a lot of FSBOs will say, oh, I'll sell my house on my own. I'll put it on Zillow. That's good, right? And very well, you could sell your house. But do you know, like with my brokerage, if I list your home It goes to 250 sites, not just Zillow, 250 sites all over the world, right? Just not in Florida, just not in the United States, all over the world. And so what kind of exposure do you want? Because you know what exposure brings you? More competition, more buyers, and hopefully a better price. Which brings me to iBuyers. Okay, 1% did iBuyers. And maybe you've heard of iBuyers, such as Open Door or OfferPad. Zillow did it for a while. Well, and listen, for ease, I know a lot of families saying, listen, it's just easier. I'll sell the house to you, whatever. Honestly, they're leaving money on the table. Okay? And my job, I'm a fiduciary to my clients. My job is to protect your interests, get you the most money possible, right? So again, I'm going to push this point. Use a real estate agent, right? That you're not going to lose money, right? Yes, we earn a commission, but if you think about $10,000 on a $300,000 home, $400,000 home, it's minuscule, right? Second thing you need is a good valuation for your home, for your property. And again, a real estate agent, we come in, show you the different comps, looking at different homes in the area, what they've sold for, and that there can be aggressive pricing. There can be a stretch price. So how fast a home sells depends on location, condition, price, right? So we'll talk about that. And then a third thing you may need is just some advice about, first of all, staging the house. And I did a video on this early, 3 years ago. I talked about staging. I may need to update that, right? But also curb appeal. Talk about what repairs may be needed. Listen, I've talked to home sellers that said, oh, before I sell my home, I want to replace all the carpets. Well, listen, whatever you choose, the buyers may not like. But if you know the carpets need to be replaced, then you reflect that in the price of the home, right? If you say carpets need to be replaced, okay, we'll give you $5,000 credit to replace carpets, right? Easy to do. So listen, again, this video is answering a simple question. When should I sell my home? When you want to or when you need to? So if you're in that situation where you have friends or family in this situation, please reach out to me. Go to my website, Joe Brown C21. And listen, having a conversation with me is not a commitment to me, okay? Hopefully after 3 years, you know, I'm honest, I'm straightforward, and I'll give you the best advice I possibly can. So reach out to me. Let's see if I can help you. And thank you so much for being here today. Listen, go to my website, Joe Brown C21. You can search for homes. You can read my blogs. My contact information is there. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, because South Tampa, Florida living is awesome.